Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. Really glad you joined us this week. We've got some important political news stories we are going to cover. First off, we're going to check back in with Thomas Massie because the guy's always making news. Apparently, there are some threats floating around towards Thomas Massie and his staff because he's not, quote, playing ball. That's an interesting one. Also, at that federal political level, we got a new entry into an already crowded Senate race. So at the top of the ticket for 2026 here in Kentucky, familiar faces, new campaigns launching. So we'll touch on that. And then we've got a new video coming from friend of the show, Sherilyn Stevenson. So she's launched a new video that we'll cover. And then we got some news from the Kentucky Humanities with new leadership there. Then very, very excited to be joined by State Senator Reggie Thomas, has been on the show a number of times, a Lexington State Senator, leader in the minority party there in the legislature. He's been involved with some AI work, recommendations that are being made right now about legislative solutions, I guess, to the AI question that are being advanced or recommended. We'll see how those are received by the state legislature, who also has, the 2-year budget they've got to nail down. And then, of course, we'll ask them a little bit about elections because, we like elections. We're interested in elections. So it should be a good show. Really glad that you're here with us. And I am going to go ahead and, before we jump into this, I'm going to actually make this the call to action. So, Parker, if you got that graphic at your fingertips, we really need to bear down to take some of Trump's power. We are sorely in need of significant political change here in Kentucky for the next year. As we've mentioned, we're all in on flipping the Kentucky 6th District and key state house seats that are within that 16-county congressional district. We've got 4 great candidates running, but we are looking beyond the primary. We're going to shift the electorate who will ultimately need to show up next November for us to do what has not been done for quite some time, which is flip that district. It's a really big job. It's going to take volunteers, time, resources. We need your help. We just had an amazing Flip the 6th campaign volunteer event at the Lexington West 6 Barrel Room. We had 50 folks coming out to write postcards to voters that need engagement, that need dialogue, that need encouragement to really show up for next November's election. If you want to join that crew, if you want to help out, make some plans, join us next month. That is going to be happening the first Monday of the month. We'll be back at the Barrel Room next January 5th. So you can join us there, or you can reach out and we can get you set up writing postcards to your neighbors before that event. So we can absolutely kind of dial you in, get you involved either way. But we would love to see you out there. It really is important work. Very proud to be partnering with Peaceful Bluegrass Resistance and just a lot of fantastic activists who are really committed to doing everything they can. But, everyone can help out in their own way. If your handwriting is too illegible to be helpful, I know you're out there. If you're a doctor, I don't know. You can make a monthly contribution via our secure online website, Act Blue, to help turn Kentucky 6 purple. $6 a month, $16 a month, $600 all at once. It all adds up. We use your support. Please do. Stamps are super expensive. We've got at least 5,000 postcards we're mailing out, and it's going to take a lot of money to mail out all those postcards. So help us with the stamp fund. Make a donation at the Act Blue website. So now let's go ahead and check in with our co-hosts. Let us know who you are, where you are, and who is on your biting list. I'll go ahead and start. So Aaron, coming to you from Childsburg, lovely neighborhood in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky. On my biting list, I'm going to have to put Kash Patel. That is like, a little teaser for the story that's coming. But man, what a guy. And he's been in the news a lot. There's a special, I think, report that came out just about how bad Kash Patel is and how, there's a lot of really inadequate people, really inappropriate people doing jobs in the Trump administration. But he's got to be like, RFK level inappropriate, inadequate for the job. So anyway, that'd be my biting list. Let's check in with Dr. Clardy. How are you doing tonight, Doctor?
I'm doing great tonight. How are you all?
Good.
I have 3 people on my biting list.
Okay.
President Donald Trump, Secretary of State Pete Hegseth, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. We are about to make a colossal mistake in starting a war with Venezuela on the basis of what? In what ways has Caracas threatened us? Do we have any direct proof that Maduro is a direct material threat to the national security of the United States? And what little political capital we had in Latin America, we are about to squander it by going to war. This is a terrible mistake, and this administration, it probably won't, needs to rethink this policy. This is dangerous, and it's silly.
Yeah, and it's just such a clear, he ran on ending forever wars. What do you think that would be? Like that kind of like ongoing conflict. They're not like welcoming our engagement in their nation. Like that.
And he's talking about regime change. Really?
Yeah.
I'm not saying Maduro is a Boy Scout. He's not. I'm not making any excuses. There's a drug problem. And there needs to be some serious interdiction, but it's not coming from Venezuela. It's coming from different other sources. Yeah. And the president has yet to even think about the demand side for it. He's thinking about the interdiction, the flexing the muscles, the chest thumping, and he's not asking the real serious question. How do we get people free from drug addiction? How do we create programs to do that while at the same time working along with the Organization of American States and other stakeholders to make sure that we're able to curtail the flow of drugs into the United States and elsewhere? He's doing this completely wrong.
Surprising no one, I would imagine. All right, Dr. Cecil Jones, welcome. What have you got on your biting list this evening?
Well, two things first. Three things, actually. I'm coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky, Jefferson County. How you all doing today? How's everybody doing?
Doing great, Dr. Jones.
Dr. Clardy, everybody's doing all right. Okay, everybody, listeners, viewers doing okay. Okay, good. Second thing on the agenda is this. When you were talking about, handwriting, Aaron, my handwriting is very, very beautiful if you can read it. So then the other thing that I want to say is maybe sometimes, we remember how crack came into this country. Maybe there's a big war out on these drug traffickers or whatever the case may be. They're shooting on sight and not having all the information. I think it's another form of maybe the government is not getting their cut. Has anybody thought about that? But on my bike,
yeah, good question. Real questions we need to have answers to.
But I do want to say on my bite list, actually, it's the Tennessee Republicans for getting Matt Van Elps elected in Tennessee in that special election for that House seat, state seat. But the Republicans better not get too excited about it, because it could be a bad omen for Republicans. Despite the win, some analysts from Democratic-leaning sources describe the result as a very, very bad omen for Republicans. This is because the margin of victory, which was around, give or take 9%, 9 percentage points, was significantly smaller than what they really, really needed to see a substantial win. So back to you, Aaron.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you. Sliding in a little extra story, but yeah, I was definitely sad to see Afton not win. Made some calls, and it seemed like the folks I was talking to, there's a lot of folks who are really excited about Afton. So, it's a Trump plus 22 district. Very hard to flip that many folks, I suppose. With these special elections, though, it's a whole different electorate. So, I think it bodes well for the midterms. Maybe not going to be the enormous blue wave that flips every House seat, but it really should give us, I think, wind in our sails heading into that race, heading into those races in 2026. All right, so let's do some news stories. I think we've got. First up is the good Dr. Clardy.
Hollywood couldn't have written a better script than this. And J. Edgar Hoover, and I am, Lord knows, no apologist for J. Edgar Hoover. I don't think he would have been this diabolical. But Representative Thomas Massey is reporting that he and his staff have received threats, direct threats from FBI Director Kash Patel, unless they straighten up, play ball, and be a team player. Thomas Massey, of course, has come out against the president with regard to the Epstein files and other things. Massey is a diehard conservative. Let's be very clear about that. And he is breaking publicly with the president of the United States. Could we play the clip?
Also, I'm going to say this here on camera because it's important. One of Kash Patel's staff threatened my staff with a criminal investigation if we didn't straighten up and play ball.
I was going to ask you about that, but since you brought it up, and I didn't,
I'm bringing it up.
Okay, you brought it up.
And so, like a criminal investigation having nothing to do, he said it was going to be a fraud. We're going to investigate one of your staff for fraud. Right. And he told another one of my staff this. If you guys don't straighten up, if you want to play hardball, if this is how you want to play it or something like that, this member of your staff is going to get criminally investigated for fraud. A very specific threat.
Right.
And that had just happened. So I told Bongino, I said, one of your guys is threatening my guys with an FBI investigation if we don't do what you want. And he said, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of that. Because even he understood that was not a good look. It's probably illegal, right? So the fallout of that is the FBI employee who threatened my staff. I have to tell you all this, by the way, Steve, and I have to tell all the listeners this, because this is the context in which I'm worried for the whistleblower. Mm-hmm. If they're willing to retaliate against a congressional office, which has speech or debate immunity and a lot of other protections, they may be willing to retaliate against a whistleblower.
You think? I mean, you think about this. We have a former podcaster and media influencer as the chief law enforcement officer in the United States, acting like a gangster. This is very dangerous. This is very irresponsible. This is not going to end well, and this does not have a good look.
My God. Yeah, this is insane. I mean, this is just beyond anything that, obviously should be acceptable. This is clearly not acceptable. And even Dan Bongino seemed to know that. But, this is what you get when you, the primary qualifications for a person is a short stint as a federal prosecutor, I think. And then children's book author, like the world's worst children's books, right? Trump the King, like, oh, good God. Yeah, this is insane. And this should be a bigger story, right? Like the fact that that's what's happening behind the scenes at the FBI, which you hate to drag that, organization, although, checkered past to be sure. But yeah, this is insane.
I mean, we're coming up on the anniversary of the assassination of Fred Hampton that had Hoover's fingerprints all over this. This is something totally different.
Crazy. All right, so let's roll into story number 2. So I think story number 2 is coming to us from Kimberly.
Yes, and it's all about Charles Booker. Charles Booker made not only Kentucky news, he also made national and international news back in 2020, and also with the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor protests that were happening right here in Louisville. However, Charles Booker was a state representative, as people well know, and then he moved on to run for Senate, and he's doing it again. It just came out through the Courier Journal and also through many other publications that he was going to be running again. I didn't think he was going to run. I was very, very surprised, but go ahead on and play the the clip right here, his commercial, his heart.
People are tired of politicians flying into our communities, telling us what we need. The future of Kentucky is ours. What do we want it to look like? It looks like Medicare for all and universal child care, so raising our families isn't so damn hard. Housing you can live in and afford without being crushed by utility bills. And it's a new deal for workers, 40 for 40, a minimum of $40,000 a year for a 40-hour work week, a guaranteed to live a life with dignity.
If these crooked politicians and big money corporations are so committed to screwing us over, if they are so determined to take your health care away, to take your benefits away, I think we should lock arms and shut it all down. I'm ready to organize for a general strike because I know the power is in the people and we deserve better. They thought we were done. We ain't quitting. Let's lead for the change we want to see.
And that's why I'm running for Senate. Join us.
Are you ready to stand for Kentucky?
Are you ready to stand for Kentucky? Are you ready to stand for Charles Booker is really the question. There's mixed opinions about Charles Booker running for Senate. There have been some very disparaging comments on social media platforms as far as, why are you getting back in this race? You need to sit down. Why did you leave that position at the governor's in Frankfort? Why did you leave that job in Frankfort? And then you were on social media talking about you didn't have enough money for your insulin. There's people that's also worried about what does his finances look like? A lot of people are like, he's divorced now. What happened with that? So he's a very controversial figure right now. A lot of the people that were supporting him previously may not be supporting him at this particular time. It's so many that are running for U.S. Senator at this time. Some of the old school have come back. Amy McGrath, Charles Booker again. So it's going to be quite interesting in what his philosophies are. A lot of people are also wondering, just curious as to, who talked to him, what made him do this decision to run again, and who's actually backing him. Some people are saying, I don't know if it's true or not, they're saying maybe Bernie Sanders is backing him. Does that mean that the new mayor of New York will come down here and back him as well? And how will that do for the rest of the 118 counties in Kentucky other than Jefferson and Fayette? So there's a lot of questions there, and there's also a lot of tears and a lot of happiness that he's running again. So we're yet to see as this campaign continues to go on. Back to you guys. What do you think about it? What's up with it?
I think, it just made it a more interesting race. That's for sure. I think 6 candidates now that seem to be fairly legitimate, running real campaigns, I expect. And that is a crowded primary field. So obviously Charles Booker's run statewide a couple of times. He knows how to do it. And then of course Amy McGrath has run statewide before as well, and very accomplished fundraiser certainly. Both have lost trying to win Senate races. They weren't open seats. They weren't necessarily at a really strong midterm kind of backlash against Trump, which, as we've been talking about earlier with the Tennessee race that we just saw, should help Democrats. There's a lot of great tailwinds right now for sure. But they have, tried statewide and lost. Also, Colonel Pam Stevenson's run statewide, lost as well. And then the kind of new faces that have jumped into this race, Dale Romans, the racehorse trainer, the former Secret Service agent Logan Forsyth, former CIA officer Joel Willett. It is a crowded field. And on the other side, of course, we're watching Andy Barr versus former AG Dan Cameron and MAGA businessman Nate Morris. Really, so really is it'll be interesting. It'll get a lot of attention, and of course that's the top of the ticket. So you want more voters engaging. Certainly, with 6 campaigns, they're gonna really be turning out voters for the primary election. That's for sure. I don't know. What do you think, Dr. Clardy?
Well, there's going to be a spirited debate in both parties. And I think in terms of democracy and the marketplace of ideas, that's a good thing. That on our side, that we have these 6 candidates who are willing to put themselves forward to air out differences. And at the end of the day, that we come together behind the Democratic nominee to defeat, whether it's Morris, which I don't think Morris has a shot. I think it's Andy Barr's election to lose on the Republican side. Someone who can defeat the Republican candidate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My only concern is, and I say this with love to my party, it's okay to support candidates that excite us and make us feel good. I'm personally tired of that. I'm tired of voting for candidates that make me feel good. I want to win. I want to win this election. I want us to govern. I want us to get this country on the right track. However that's represented at the end of this primary, I'll support whoever the nominee is.
You better preach.
But I want us to seriously consider, do we want to keep doing the politics of the feel-good sacrificial lamb? Now, Barr does not have the gravitas of McConnell. That's true. But this is still a red state. Let's not lose sight of that. So I'm excited about the campaign coming up, but I hope we get this right, because we can't afford to lose in 2026.
Dr. Clardy coming in with the electability argument.
Yes.
I think it's not dumb to think about the next election. So you're going to vote in the primary, and then what's going to happen? They're going to face all the independent voters, right? And of course, if you look at voter registrations, the party that have grown the most are the non-party people, right? That's where more new voter registrations are shown. People are just done with the partisan my team versus your team. A lot of new voters are not even picking a party, so that's interesting. And so you want to think about, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to go with a guy that's going to support the policies you like. And watching our healthcare policies right now, it's hard to say that Medicare for all isn't a smart move to go to. If you look at all the industrialized nations and what they've done, they've all basically landed on a program very much like that. We are the only kind of holdouts that don't guarantee healthcare access in our country. So there's that. He put out, that 40 for 40, like if you're working 40 hours a week, you should make $40,000 a year. That's another policy he put very, loudly and proudly. Free health or free childcare. That of course is a really big one. And then also, he embraced a general strike, if you saw that ad. So he is not shying away from the more aggressive, progressive policies. And if that fires you up, that's something to think about. But are you the normal voter, right? I don't know. So,
Aaron, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like those ideas. I really, truly do. But I'm also a political realist, and I know that Lee Atwater was right in his prophecy. And I'm not going to go deep into the weeds of what he said in the 1980s. But there's one word that I know Republicans are good at dropping, and it is code word. It is the L word, and it is liberal. We saw it yesterday in Tennessee. All you have to do is to paint your opponent as the socialist, Marxist, liberal, and you will win. And that is what I'm afraid of. And we just can't afford to go down that road. Even though Mandami, I like a lot of his ideas. Bernie Sanders, I have no problem with Bernie. But we just got to play this one right. You got to be very practical.
I'm just going to say this part really quickly. Basically, identity politics is over. Most people are not going to go to vote just because someone is a woman or someone is Black or whatever. We are so desperate and thirsty for just common, democracy, government,
Exactly.
that we want to pick the person that we feel is going to work for us. We don't care what color they are, what gender. We don't care about any of that. You know, I think that, and especially our younger people, our millennials, Gen Zs, they are very much no longer into identity politics as much as some of us were, probably baby boomers and Generation X. But there was a situation when I was in an organization and they were going to give money to a candidate, and they gave money to Charles Booker. And although I like Charles Booker a lot, he's very personable, gentleman. You know, we've been down the road like a month, like a sister, brother, maybe clear some things up. But however, I knew that money needed to be spent on the candidate that was going to take the state. And unfortunately, just like Dr. Ricky Jones says, a professor of Pan-African Studies here at University of Louisville, he said in Louisville, we will never have a Black mayor at this point. I feel the same way. When you still have parts of Kentucky that they have hollers, and one of those hollers on your way going to West Virginia is called NIG. You all finish the rest. Holler. That right there lets me know we are not ready for national positions with people of color. Period.
That's just being realistic.
Yeah, I don't know. Elaine Glover Luther, who apparently is a Tennessee voter, but is watching us here for the first time, which I love. Love to hear.
Elaine.
Hi, Elaine. How are you?
Elaine's thoughts about the Tennessee race we were talking about. But she points out a lot of people will not vote for a person because of gender or race, but lots of people will vote against a candidate because of gender, or race, or sexual orientation.
Exactly.
But it's real. I don't think anyone would dispute that.
We like Elaine.
Yeah, we do like Elaine. Although she's a Tennessee voter and can't vote in our primary, so she, again, can be above the fray and just offer opinions. But I do think, I don't know, like there was such an avalanche of just online vitriol targeting Amy McGrath when she got in the race, right? But at the end of the day, it's not about your kind of like insular bubble of progressives that make these decisions. It's like what appeals to the average voter. And I think a lot of times there's a name recognition value. There's like, oh, I like their bio. I like their, I don't know. Charles Booker came and spoke at our No Kings rally. I was really grateful that he came. He was a wonderful speaker. He put the issues out there in a really powerful way. So I'm no shade on Charles, but it'll be interesting to watch these races. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be interesting. As folks know, Progress Kentucky thinks we need to turn Kentucky purple for a couple of reasons. Because on your way from deep red to blue, purple's kind of in the middle there. There's also just like the non-partisan vibe of like, let's just do what's best for people, right? Let's just fight to get better outcomes for our people and not necessarily have to, put on the blue hat or the red hat. Let's just find some common ground. I think our governor has been lighting the world on fire with that kind of approach. It makes, I think, the, Democrat or the Republican super majorities in Frankfort throw open their mouths every time he says something about it, because they know that, he's hard to play ball with for sure. But, I think it really does appeal to voters. And I think that's important, appealing to voters. So I don't know. I think right out of the gates, Charles Booker putting out a bunch of progressive policies on his launch video. I don't know if that's a smart move. I think people want somebody who's going to fight for you, and they, you can get, start pulling apart policies, but just know that as a senator, you're not going to be the guy who gets to get through some of these really aggressive, progressive policies. So you might be better off just letting people know that you feel their story. You see how things are unaffordable right now, and you're going to fight to, address those issues. Right. So I don't know. Interesting. We got Sandy in the chat too. Always love to hear from Sandy Downs. And plenty of choices overall all across the spectrum. Let's let the process get us to one for better or worse, and try to make it work. Yeah. You got to come together. Whatever happens, you got to come together.
Remember in 2020, it was 11 candidates.
Mm-hmm. What?
Yes. It was 11.
11. Where? Which
in 2020,
race?
the U.S. Senator election.
Mm-hmm.
Only reason why I know all of that is because the
11?
It
There were
was 11.
3 that were legitimate, I think, 'cause there were not 11 legitimate candidates. There was
Some of those
Booker,
other people
there
were
was McGrath,
legitimate.
and there's Breuer.
Yeah, and I was the chairperson of Breuer's campaign. That's the only reason why I know how many people there were.
That's why he lost.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Wow.
Oh, when I see you, I'm going to have to smack you and then give you a big old hug.
But you know what, though? Seriously, one thing I hope that we do as a party is that we need to end right here and right now these purity tests at the moment. I mean, I'm not saying don't vet the candidates. Their records need to be vetted and pulled apart. And if we don't deem them qualified to be our nominee, our standard bearer, yeah, vote against them. But if let's say hypothetically Charles Booker gets the nomination. Okay, let's just assume that. Because he does not check all the boxes, then we decide we're going to stay at home or vote another party. How has that helped us before? I'm going to tell you right now, I have my own candidate preference, and I'm not going to muddy the waters with it. But if Charles Booker is the nominee of the Democratic Party for the U.S. Senate, or if it's Logan Forsyth, or if it's Colonel Stevenson, or if it's Amy McGrath, or whoever, I will support that candidate. I don't have to agree with them on everything. But one thing I will not agree on is to have another Trump toady in the United States Senate. And that is exactly who Andy Barr is. I said it last month and I reiterated. He's carried more water for Donald Trump than Gunga Din, and we don't need him in the Senate.
I don't know who Gunga Din is, but what I do know, Dr. Clardy, is, I think I feel your vibe and I don't disagree with it at all. I also do know, like, looking through the comments, there's a whole lot of people, like I said earlier, when the number one kind of new voter registration is independent, not Democrat or Republican, right, that while we get that, I care about climate change, I have to vote for I have to have a candidate that believes it's real and wants to do something about it. I think women's access to abortion and reproductive health care is really important. So we need to make sure there's a candidate, so I've got my own litmus tests. Sure. They're pretty basic. And pretty much any Democrat's probably going to check the box, honestly, if we're being honest, right? But what I do know is that people don't like the parties. They don't like the partisanship. So they want somebody who's going to fight for them. So the candidate has to be able to speak to those people to get them to vote for them in November, right? Because they're not going to be able to vote in May. Is it April? May? I should know. I don't remember.
May is the primary.
Guess what? We haven't had a U.S. senator that was a Democrat for like over a century.
Well, that's not true. Wendell Ford was our senator for a long time.
Wendell Ford was not a century ago.
But Ford was the last.
He sure was. Yeah. I should know that. I used to do the.
Didn't you share that dinner?
I mean, we've lived in the age of McConnell. I mean, for the last 40 years, that's all we've known. All
right. So this has been a spirited conversation, and I appreciate it. We have gone a little long. I want to do a short clip, Parker, from speaking. Of course, Hood to the Holler. Some of the best slogan. The best vision of engaging across our Commonwealth that Charles Booker put together. Now we have in the 6th district race, we have a mountain Democrats, so kind of reaching to the holler side of that equation. And I think it's a really strong narrative. I think it's true in her case for sure. And I love that she's leaning into that element of her bio, but we've got a clip from Sherilyn Stevenson's video that she just launched this week that I really like.
If you want to tell the story of America, you have to start in the mountains of Kentucky. Through these mountains, hardworking folks connected 2 coasts with railroads and highways. In these mountains, we powered a new American economy that changed our country and created a strong middle class. And around kitchen tables on these mountains, workers found their voices, standing up to big corporations and powerful CEOs who put their profit over our safety, our families, and our future. Here, Mountain Democrats were born. I'm Sherilyn Stevenson. I was raised in Knott County in a house my parents, a teacher and Army veteran, built by hand on land my grandparents owned across the road from the homestead generations of my family farmed. Out here, everyone knows everyone. We ask, how can we help? Not what party you belong to. And we value the dignity of hard work and the life it should create. What makes Kentuckians great will never change, but times have. Industry left. Everything costs an arm and a leg. And hard work just doesn't get us what it used to. Those big corporations and CEOs, they're screwing us over while they make record profits. 100 years ago, Mountain Democrats faced the same fight, but they stood up, organized, and won. Now, it's our turn. We need to bring new industry to Kentucky that values the workers powering them with good wages and real benefits.
Let's end it there.
We need to stand up.
So yeah, really, I think super smart. Ends into like the reclaiming that democratic history of Kentucky, right? Because we, coal miners were unionized. They fought hard for better conditions. That was a strong democratic tradition and movement. And the idea that the Democratic Party are now this like tiny little super minority in Frankfort is, it's just shameful, right? Because there's only one party that's really ever fought for the working class. There's only one. And the fact that a working class state keeps sending super majorities of Republicans to Frankfort is shameful. So I love that she's claiming that story, reclaiming that story, and putting it out in a really powerful and compelling way. So I love that bio piece. Any quick thoughts on Sherilyn's video, Dr. Clardy?
It's a winning message to me. That's a winning message. It's a very pragmatic message. It's down the middle. It appeals to people's basic needs. Watch her. I think she's going to do very, very well. I think she can flip this district. And I'm going to tell you somebody else to watch along those lines, and that will be Drew Williams in the 1st Congressional District. He has a very similar platform. He's speaking to basic bread and butter issues. And so I think that those winning messages could help us not only to flip one congressional seat, but maybe 2.
All right. That is something, Dr. Clardy. Talking about flipping that seat.
I have a thought, and and you all not. My thought is different from you guys, because I know the history of Appalachian Kentucky and that type of thing, and especially about the blacks of Appalachian Kentucky, the blacks of the mountains, how the blacks were the main drivers of building the railroad systems here in the state of Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I did not see any black people in the video. I may need to go back and look at it. Did you all see any? Because there still are quite a number of black folks in Appalachian Kentucky. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I already said we didn't have a senator for 100 years. The only reason why is because I was reading an article about how they're probably nationally going to lift the ban on cannabis, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get all of these people out of prison. So I'm very interested in the cannabis story. So I apologize.
Honestly, that didn't sound like a bad idea.
I know, right?
A little bit of a curveball. I'm not sure where that came from, and I don't see it in the run of show. But yes, speaking of run of show, we do need to get on to the next element, because I fear we have kept our dear guest, Senator Reggie Thomas, waiting a bit. Really thrilled to have him join us. I know he's a really busy guy doing a lot of really important work in Frankfort. But Senator Thomas, are you there?
I am here, Aaron, and I've got to tell you, I have really enjoyed listening to you and Dr. Clardy and Dr. Cecil Jones talk. It's been a very enlightening and engaging conversation. So you've kept my attention, even behind the curtain.
Senator, it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you, Dr. Clardy, as well. I've enjoyed all your comments. I want to say this to you, Dr. Clardy. I think the reason that Charles Booker's gotten in the race is the Mondami effect. I mean, Booker has a lot of the same characteristics of Mondami.
He does.
He's very engaging. He's very charismatic. He speaks well, and I think Charles, like a lot of us, watched Mondami on election night and said, "Hey, I can do that too. I can replicate that." Mm-hmm. And so I think that was a big motivation. motivation for him getting in the race. Now, let me be clear that when I say something, people always say, "Well, you're telling us something that you know." I have not talked with Charles. I've not communicated with him at all. So this is just my speculation. But you know, I mean, I think that's what's motivating him, and I think Dr. Clardy, you'll see a lot more of that in 26, with progressives making a comeback.
No doubt.
Because of Mondami, and particularly after that love fest that he had with President Trump the Friday after his election.
Yeah,
I love that. They just kind of Trump walked into it and just defanged like some of the best arguments that his party was gearing up to tie everyone to Mamdani. And all right, so hey, Senator Thomas, again, thank you so much for joining us. I know you guys have been busy. I heard you earlier on a story talking about the AI task force, so that really piqued my interest. I wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about that task force and what it was recommending, because I'll tell you what, you know, when I think about the future and I think about areas I'd like to see politicians really engaging and kind of helping create a more equitable future, I think having some guardrails on AI is really important, and make sure that we do not just, you know, privatize the profits out of AI and socialize all the, you know, the repercussions of AI. But, you know, don't just do what billionaires want to do with this technology, but make sure it really delivers for people. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about what's going on in Frankfort with AI.
Well, let me give you a little bit of history first, Aaron. Back in 2023, back in 2024, I filed some legislation dealing with AI because it became clear to me by the summer of 2023 that this technology was really taking off, that it had the potential to really take control of our lives, and that Kentucky really ought to be out in the forefront in terms of examining AI, studying AI, and setting out policies that really protect the people of Kentucky. And so in 2024, and I give the legislature some credit, we created an AI task force. We were one of the first states in this country to really do that. Now, I'm not saying we were the first, but we were one of the early states to really say that we're going to get a handle on AI and begin to examine it. So I became a member of that task force in 24. We continue that task force into 2025. Unfortunately, and this is a little known fact, Aaron, about the federal bill that passed in July, is that it put a moratorium on any kind of state regulation of AI. So now states can't regulate AI as states because that's prohibited by the federal bill. However, Aaron, you are right. We've got to be careful about unleashing AI. We do need some regulations on that. Aaron, you're well read. You're a well read individual, and so you probably know that you've got a lot of tech captains, tech chiefs out there now that have pulled together money and said that we're going to support candidates who don't want any guardrails on AI. That we think AI should be unregulated, and that we're going to make sure that we put money behind those candidates who agree with our position, and oppose those candidates that think that there should be some restrictions on AI. I'm going to tell you, Aaron, that those tech captains are wrong, because obviously they're in it for profit. And if you don't put any kind of guardrails on AI, Aaron, you'll have people, they'll sell all our private information, all our thoughts, all our ideas, all our concepts. I mean, it would be horrible for all Americans if we didn't have some kind of controls over how AI is employed by these tech companies. So we do need some kind of regulation. You're completely right about that. But at the same time, we don't want it to hamper our national defense. We don't want to lose any edge we have over China now with regard to AI. So there's a as usual in government, there's a line we got to walk to make sure that we protect all Americans, and yet at the same time strengthen our national defense with regard to AI. I said a lot there, but I've been studying this for 2 years now, and there's a lot to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah. And it seems like the task force made a few recommendations. They came back with some things about data centers, a few things about social media. And I don't know. Is there anything specifically that you're excited about in terms of trying to, collaborate with your colleagues across the aisle to get some common sense legislation through this session?
Well, I hope we get some common sense legislation done in 2026, particularly regarding data centers. Now, let's talk about data centers for a minute, Aaron, because Kentucky's going to have data centers here, and I think that's a good thing. However, there have been a lot of complaints about data centers in terms of the noise pollution, the just the amount of noise they generate, and how that impacts people's habitability and comfort in their homes. That data centers don't produce a whole lot of jobs. It's not like a big job producer, but it does produce some jobs. Once again, and the biggest, let me add this before I say what I was going to say initially. Data centers generate a lot of electricity, a lot of energy, and they have the impact, Aaron, of raising utility costs for all consumers in that area. Because what happens is that utility companies pass that cost of building additional energy and additional energy infrastructure in that area to accommodate data centers, and pass that cost on to everybody else, which raises utility rates significantly. We saw that in New Jersey. That was a big issue in New Jersey. So I had proposed, and the biggest thing I said when we adopted the recommendations last month, is that we need to make sure that any increase in costs to accommodating additional energy output for data centers is paid by the data centers alone, and not by other consumers who live in that same area. To me, that's very, very important.
That does seem like a common sense approach to data centers, right? If you've got a big, huge corporation that's coming in and is going to need a bunch of new power generation because of their enormous amount of draw, then they should pay for that new generation and the connections into the grid, right? It's not just a house; it's an enormous investment, and we should not be socializing. As other ratepayers should not be paying for them to generate or build that new generation that's going to be required for sure. So I appreciate that. They also have a lot of water usage for cooling those data centers.
Aaron?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Did we lose you?
Aaron, I lost your audio.
We can hear you. And I'm sorry if you can't hear us, because it was a very wise comment I was making, very insightful comment. Can we hear? Have we fixed anything? Has time fixed anything, Senator? Well, that is a disappointment. We had another couple important questions we wanted to ask him, but really important to hear his thoughts, his leadership in Frankfort, and I'll just see what we can do to, see if he can come back and join us. But I do think, he's doing important work on this issue. I don't know that there's a lot of important issues that they've got to deal with, but it's certainly one that we think critically important that they figure out how to manage that new capacity or generation needs that data centers will bring along with them. Dr. Clardy, Dr. Cecil Jones, any thoughts about the data centers issue?
I had a concern about that, but mine was also in terms of academic integrity. Colleges and universities across the Commonwealth are working on policies with regard to AI and academic dishonesty. I'm serving as the chair of the Tenure and Promotion Committee in my department, and we're trying to work up language that will help us to make determinations about academic dishonesty, both in our classroom and also personnel decisions. And what I was going to ask the senator, would he and his committees work with the Council on Post-Secondary Education to also have a uniform policy, because I think that's one thing that we're all going to need. And as I said in one of my department meetings this afternoon, we hammered out language as best we can, but AI technology is growing very rapidly, and we're not done with this conversation. And so, I think that we need some consistency at the top coming down from Frankfort to give us guidance as to, different areas of technology that we need to focus in on, best practices and so forth. And so that was my comment I was going to ask the senator.
Oh, it's a good one.
Okay. Aaron, can you hear me? I just can't hear you.
Yeah, we
Can you hear me, Aaron?
We can, but you can't hear us. So this is going to be a really awkward interview.
You might be able to hear me, Aaron. I just can't hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. I don't know if you can see me or not either. We can hear you. So
I can't hear you.
I think we're going to have to call the interview one very successful question. Unfortunately, we had a few others we wanted to ask you, Senator Thomas. But thank you so much. As always, we appreciate you joining us. And we'll look to have you back as the session gets underway in January and proceeds to deal with some of these really important issues. We also wanted to ask him about the budget. Because this is, of course, a budget year. They're going to do a 2-year budget, and also really important to consider all the cuts that are coming at the federal level because of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and then thinking through races for 2026 as well. So hopefully we'll be able to get back with Senator Thomas and figure out our tech challenges the next time. All right. So thank you, Senator Thomas. I know we also had to skip over a story that that you brought to us, Dr. Clardy. So happy to kind of throw it back to you to bring us that news of the week story. About humanities.
Yes, over the last 5 years, I have had the honor and distinct pleasure of serving on the Kentucky Humanities Council Board of Directors. I served as vice chair 1 year and as chair for 2 years. And the success of Kentucky Humanities in my tenure has been due in large part, to the genius of its executive director, Bill Goodman. Bill Goodman is a household name in this Commonwealth. For many years, he had worked on KET. He was a political correspondent, talk show host, and so forth. I had the honor of working with Bill as he was executive director. Did a marvelous job for Kentucky Humanities. He has announced his retirement, and he's going to be replaced by an interim director, Kay Madrick, and I'm looking forward to working with her. What Kentucky Humanities has done over the last 52 or 53 years has been to tell Kentucky's story. It has funded programs like Chautauqua. It puts on the Kentucky Book Festival. It makes sure that textbooks and other books are in the hands of young people and young adults. It has promoted literacy and Kentucky's culture. Dr. Cecil Jones, you mentioned Appalachia. It's done a really good job insofar as promoting Appalachian poets and the like. And Kentucky Humanities needs your support. It needs your help, especially since we lost our federal funding. But Bill Goodman has been immaculate insofar as the way he has governed the affairs of this great organization. And I wish Kay Madrick great success. And you all just keep us in your thoughts and give us a few dollars every now and then. We'd certainly appreciate it.
Awesome. Really, really important organization doing important work for our Commonwealth. That's for sure. And I think we are revisited now by Senator Thomas. So hopefully our tech issues have been resolved.
Yes, Aaron. I don't know what happened. But I hope you can see me now.
Well, no, you're in the dark now. You're definitely. We've got some lighting issues. We have a picture of you. Look at there. There you are.
Okay, there you go. That's good. Well, Aaron, let me say one other thing. I know your time's running short, but let me say this. Also, with regard to exploitation of minors and AI, I do think that we ought to have some kind of guardrails and protections against those kind of abuses that can occur in the area of AI. That definitely is something that should always have our attention, and prohibitions and punishments that are attached with anyone who uses AI in a way that harms minors. So that's another area that I think we have to we have to regulate on the state and federal level.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, so I did want to get to a couple issues really quickly. It's a budget year, so you guys are going to have to come up with a 2-year budget for the Commonwealth. How are you viewing that? I know that, the federal cuts are kind of across the board, besides ICE, I guess. They're cutting so many different revenue streams for the state, which means you're going to be challenged to kind of make up the difference. At the same time, the Republicans seem to have locked in these, kind of stair-stepping down the state income tax, so leaving you guys, fewer resources to work with. How are you going to be approaching the budget this year?
Well, Aaron, let me always be honest with you. This is going to be a tough budget year. I suspect this is going to be a tough session. We haven't lost money as a state because Kentucky has been doing well in terms of raising revenue. But with these tax cuts that have taken place, particularly in the area of income taxes, our budget's probably going to be flat. There's not going to be a lot of new money to spend. So that's going to be disappointing. And Aaron, we've got to take a look at Medicaid. I mean, if Congress does not reverse the actions they took under the federal bill that was passed in July, then you're going to have about 1 out of every 4 Kentuckians feel some real pain in terms of their health care. And we just can't allow that to happen, Aaron. We've got to look at that and find some money to fill in the gap there so that people don't die. And that people can get treated stay well. So I think that has to be our number one priority is looking to see what we can do to make less pain for Medicare cuts that are taking place on the federal level. And Aaron, I will say this: Congress has got to reverse that elimination of the advanced premium tax credits, the APTCs, that helped make healthcare costs and insurance costs affordable. You're going to have people, Aaron, very, very soon, beginning of January, going to have to make some hard decisions about whether they want to be able to afford their healthcare premiums at an excessive cost or go without healthcare. And Aaron, that's a life and death choice. That's not a choice that legislators can just ignore. We've got to take that reality very seriously, and we've got to find some way to make sure that people who have health care can keep that health care.
Yeah, for sure. I don't envy your job, sir. I think it's going to be incredibly challenging, as you pointed out. But I do hope that you and your colleagues are able to find some common ground and make sure that we defend the folks who really do need to have support for their healthcare coverage, for sure. All right. So one other thought I had, and then I'll see if my co-hosts have anything they wanted to drop in on. But you are also, you're somebody who looks at these races. You got to help recruit candidates. We just had a really exciting kind of near miss in Tennessee that I think got a lot of people hopeful about the prospects for Democrats moving into 2026 and the midterm election. What races do you have to keep an eye on? Which Senate districts? And are there any ones you suggest we keep a close watch on?
Well, Aaron, let me say this. We're going to field some excellent candidates. We will compete in several Senate races in 2026. I'm not going to name any names today, Aaron, or identify any districts. Obviously, we'll talk more about that as we move along in 2026. I will tell you, Aaron, please pay attention to less than 2 weeks from now, because we've got an excellent candidate in Gary Clemens running to replace David Yates. And we feel very comfortable about that race. And we believe Gary Clemens is going to win. We believe he's going to help us in the Senate. And he's a labor candidate. Spent his career working in labor, and he'll be a welcome addition to our Senate. And so I would say, as a starter in answering your questions, let's focus on that race and let us do everything we can to be successful in that race. Governor Beshear has endorsed Gary, and then we'll move on in 2026.
Okay, I guess. When's the filing deadline? When you have to have these folks
January 9th. January 9th.
All right. Well, I guess all shall be revealed at that point to some degree. All right. Thank you, sir. Any final questions from my co-host, Dr. Clardy, Dr. Cecil Jones?
We're behind you 1,000% in January. This is going to be a very critical year, as you mentioned, especially with being the budget year.
Thank you, Dr. Clardy, and feel free to give me a call from time to time.
You got it.
Okay.
Awesome. Dr. Cecil Jones, anything you want to add?
I'm just glad that Senator Thomas has been researching this and, taking the bull by the horn and forging forward on this, because I work in AI. I have like 5 certifications now, and I'll be starting an associate arts program in AI starting in January. And I know that it's very, very dangerous if it gets into the wrong hands. It's especially dangerous for our children. You got to have trustworthy people such as myself that's not going to do it, because we have to remember AI has to be programmed to do what it does.
Exactly. Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you again, Senator Thomas. Always a pleasure to chat. Oh, there you are. Look at found some lighting. All right. Well, Senator Thomas, it is always a pleasure to chat with you. We appreciate your leadership in the Senate. We appreciate your just willingness to share your views and your insights with us.
Aaron, I always enjoy your company, and I look forward to talking with you more in 2026.
Absolutely. All right. So I think we're going to move on now. We've got to close out our show.
Hold on. Senator Thomas, he didn't say anything like Kimberly, call me sometimes, or, Kimberly come to Frankfort and visit me. He said no. He said all that about Aaron.
I will do you one better. I want you to come by my office and visit with me. And if I get the opportunity, I want you to come shadow me one day and see the work that I do up close and personal as a senator. You can be my intern for the day. I would love that.
Yes. See, don't be jealous, Dr. Clardy and Aaron. Don't be
jealous.
Won't. I'll be hanging with them all day.
We're all good. We're all family.
Thank you, Senator Thomas.
I mean that. Call the Legislative Research General number 502-564-8100 and ask to speak to me, and we'll set a date and time, preferably a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in January and February, and you can lock arms with me and follow me around all day.
That'd be so wonderful, and then I can take pictures and video, and then we can put it on the show.
Ooh.
Absolutely, do all of that.
You will get your steps in, because this man never stops. That is for sure. All right. Thanks again, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Happy holidays to you, Aaron.
Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, Senator.
Just a wonderful, wonderful human. Always glad to have him join us on the show. All right. So I think it is Kimberly's task to close us out. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. It looks like we might have lost our Facebook live stream somewhere along the way. So this was clearly a cursed production on some level. But if you missed some of this stuff, you can always see it on YouTube. You can download and listen as a podcast. But yeah, please, Kimberly, can you close us out?
I sure will. It was an excellent program. I'm still so excited. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to close us out. Because Senator Thomas said I could be an intern for the day. Boy. See, it pays to speak up for yourself. You know what I mean?
I don't think it does pay, sir. I don't think it pays at all. I think it's a volunteer position. I don't think
I don't care. I get to hang. Look, I get to hang with Senator Thomas all day long, seeing what really goes on behind the scenes. So I am so ecstatic. I can't wait. I'll be calling him tomorrow, setting a date. But anyway, let me do our disclaimer, okay? Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project and Common Ground Kentucky Action, and we are also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Please join us for our next show. Yes, we took Thanksgiving Eve off. We're here today. We're going to be here next week as well. And we're going to be talking about all of the things that you are interested in. So you got to make sure to do that. Production of episode, is this 237 or 238? Okay, 238. This is our production of episode 238. And it was by our very own amazing, wonderful Parker Williams. Thank you, Parker. Nate Orshan wrote and performed our theme song. You can find more information and music at doitwithme.natosongs.com. That's N-A-T-O songs.com. If you miss our weekly live stream on Facebook or YouTube, audio podcasts and our show notes are always available on Apple, Spotify, and just about wherever you listen to your podcast. And when you do listen to the pod, please give us a 5-star review whenever you are listening. So we just thank all of our listeners and viewers. Hope you had a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving with your family. You left the politics alone, at least for one day. And just take care of yourself. And we'll be back here the same time, same day next week. Have a good rest of your week.